I know. I guess I'm live. Who? No. Do we have any prayer requests tonight? So Bonnie Callahan. Okay. So Katie Strickland and with her pacemaker maintenance or
My little nephew, Jacob, has had such a bad time with his tonsils, very bad. And so they were looking at possibly having those taken out among the adenoids and some other stuff. But he has gotten on a medication that's actually taken the infection away. So I just would like prayer that assistance and prayer that continues to get minimal, and maybe he won't have to have surgery. Surgery scares me.
well, it should. I mean, it's not good whenever you have to have surgery.
He's such a good little boy.
So your nephew, Jacob. Okay. Bo?
Remember the family of Jim Fleur, Josh Hall, they laid their son to rest today back in the drug overdose today. So just remember that family in your prayers.
So the family of Josh Hall?
And Regina and Gary McClure.
Okay. Regina and Gary McClure. Okay. Candy?
Pray for my dad. He's continually getting worse. Pray for Ella and Isaiah to have a great rest of their week of camp. Pray for us on Saturday as we do day camp. And just all the, there's been a lot of things in our community, people passing. Pray for all of them.
Yep, very much. All righty.
For my grandmother, she's going to live with my sister tomorrow to give my mom a break. My mom's been a full-time caregiver since she broke her leg at the end of last year, so that my mom will be by herself now, and gave my mom a companion, somebody to be there with her, but since my dad passed,
Right.
so she will go there tomorrow and pray for that whole situation, and then. To make this seems really small, just keep my little family in your prayers. Abby is away at camp for the first time, and my heart is broke every single day. There's not been one day that I haven't cried like a baby. Because I just like, it's always me, Kenny and Abby together, and I just feel like part of me is gone.
Right.
She'll be back on Friday.
Well, it's good.
She told me on the way coming here that she wants to go to camp next week, and I'm like, I'm not over this one.
Well, it's good though that they're away at camp. You know, and pray that they learn and come closer to God.
Amen.
Do we have any unspoken prayer requests? About everybody. Mike, would you open us up with prayer and?
Let's have a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful to be in the Lord's house this night to have this Bible study together. Father, we're thankful for the rain outside and it helped turn everything green and fill our creeks full of water. We pray, Father, for each name that's mentioned here tonight. We pray, Lord, for the Hall families that lost a son. We pray that you will lift them up, that you will help them, be with them. That you will be with each name, that you will reach down and touch
So Ben has asked me to do tonight's Bible study, so bear with me. He's a better speaker than I. So, thank you, Ben. Doing something when he's even here. No. Well, thank you. But topic that actually my wife kind of chose, because suggested, because I was trying to come up with something. She said I was being too controversial. So the topic that she suggested was friends. And I don't know who you may be friends with or who you consider a friend, or I think in this day and time we might use that word a little lightly, just because we're an acquaintance when someone don't necessarily mean that we're their friend, you know. And in Genesis, in chapter 2, God, he said that it's not good for man to be alone. And so when he created this world, initially he created just Adam. But all the animals had their better halves per se, but Adam had no one. And I guess today we would consider that social isolation, you know. And it's just not good for a person to be by themselves a lot. I mean, we really need companionship, whether it's a wife or a friend. Other people help us, and whether someone admits it or not, you're going to need help somewhere in your life. I know there's a lot of burly men out there, and there's even me. A lot of times I won't ask for help, but I really need it, and I guarantee you, y'all probably needed it at one point in your life. And so when God created Eve, he created her as a helpmate for Adam. And which I guess Adam really didn't have a choice. You know, we got choices who we can choose. You know. But, you know, so we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to converse with others, to share our thoughts. And so who do we actually consider as our friends? I mean, how many friends you got, Tama?
I think I've got a lot, but I may not have any.
I mean, at least everyone in here should at least have one friend, you know.
Bart's my friend.
Well, he should be. He's your husband.
Well, that's
Amen.
He's my friend. I'm her friend. And Becky's my friend. And you're my friend.
Right. So,
I think.
you know, having friends, you know, their love or your love for them is very vital. And in Proverbs 17:17, it tells us that a friend loves at all times. You know, we're all human. We make mistakes daily, whether we really intend to do it or, you know, sometimes unknowingly we might say something that goes against our friend, you know, and we hurt their feelings, or they may hurt our feelings. But everyone's got to remember we're all human, and we all make mistakes. And I'd like to read John chapter 15. John 15, verses 12 through 15. Now, this is Jesus speaking, so give you an idea of how important this is. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I've learned from my Father and I have made known to you. So right off the bat, God tells us that we should love each other. And you can't be a friend with someone if you don't love them. And, love comes in many different forms, whether it's, a marital love, a love for your child, or a love for a friend. And Jesus also says that you must lay down your life for your friend. And, obviously Jesus laid his life down for all of us. And, I can sit here and say that I would lay down my life for my children or my wife. And there's probably a handful of other people that, come to my mind that I would lay my life down for. But I can't say that I would do that for everyone in this world. I'd be lying to say that, I would go out here in the street for some stranger and let someone else take my life before theirs. I'm just being honest. That would be a hard choice to make. And I probably wouldn't be able to make it. But now Jesus made it. And but Christ says that we're considered his friend if we keep his commandments. And So, in order to be Christ's friend, we have to keep his commandments. And, what was his greatest commandment that he gave? Love the Lord with all your heart and love each other as I've loved you. And that's what it boils down to, is love.
That's what I was just looking at in verse 9. If you just think about this concept, as the Father hath loved me, this is Jesus talking, so I have loved you. Continue ye in my love. Jesus is loved by his Father, and there's no way we can comprehend that, nor can we comprehend how much he loves us.
Right. And further down in them verses, Jesus, he says we're also his friend because he's made known to us, what's going to happen. And, us walking up down these streets or through Walmart or the dollar store or wherever, we just don't tell strangers, hey, I'm going to go do this later, or it's just not conversational or appropriate to tell strangers, what you're going to do. Huh? Put it on Facebook? Well, that's true. But, when we have really close friends, like if you're going to go on vacation, more than likely you've told your friend you're going to go on vacation. Or if you got to go to the doctor because you have, some kind of procedure coming up, most of the time everyone tells their friends, that that's going to happen. And so, not everyone is a friend. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to get at. We have different relationships with people, and, and friendship versus a stranger. You just don't tell them personal things, or everyday things that's going on in your life. But there's one thing, we must choose our friends wisely. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, Paul tells us that bad company corrupts good character. And I always tell my boys, if you lay with dogs, you get fleas. Little Maddox says you get bit. That's what he says. But I mean, that goes a long way, you know. Who we hang out with and who people see us with. I mean, that paints the picture for us too. You know, whether we're really a bad person or not. The person next to us, you know, if they're using foul language or talking bad about other people, we're going to be associated with them. And, you know, I think that's what Paul's, you know, saying. You know, you're going to end up being corrupt like this person. It's going to rub off on you. And
It was hard for Paul to find friends.
oh, I'd say it was.
Whenever he was what he was before.
When he was Saul, yeah, it was hard for him to find.
So that's a point to make, you know, you change, your social crowd will change too, so.
Oh, your social crowd will change, but it'd take a long time for people to look at the old Sammy and say, you know, why, he ain't no different than what he was before, or you know.
That's why it's important not to judge, isn't it, Sam?
Well, it is important not to judge. But sometimes we do have to judge, especially when we're choosing our friends. Proverbs 16:28 tells us that a perverse person stirs up conflict and a gossip separates close friends. You know, when you're choosing your friends, are they talking about you behind your back? Or, you know, are they telling other people your business? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it's possible. And that's the reason, there again, that's why it's important to choose who your friends are. You know, their version of your business. I mean, a lot of people that's like that, they use you for, you know, benefit of them. But then when it comes to something you need, more than likely they're not going to be around.
You know, I had a very strange experience that someone was heard talking about me in the dollar store. And this happened to be a friend of mine that shared that with me. And I don't think she shared it with me for me to be upset or anything like it, but she shared it to me because this person said it in a public place. And I knew this person very well, so I hunted him down. And I asked him why he would come, you know, feel the need to talk about me in a public place with incorrect information. And he said, oh, I was just gossiping. I didn't mean anything by it. I said, well, it got back to me, and I just want you to know that you told a lot of wrong information about me.
Something like gossip is talking about things without any care for the person you're talking about.
Right.
And it's just like somebody who cheats on somebody. Like if you're the other person that they cheated with, you're like, but they really love me. Like if they cheat on that first person, they'll cheat on you too. Just like if somebody's gonna come and gossip to you, likely they'll gossip about you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like because that's a habit.
Gossipers don't fact check.
Don't fact check.
That is true. Gossipers don't fact check.
Well,
So-
I mean, he didn't deny that he said it.
Right. I mean, still don't let me be said.
And at the dollar store.
Don't you think we downplay gossip? Like we act like it's not that bad thing.
Oh, you're right, we do. You know, we shouldn't be out airing someone else's laundry.
Gossip is like it's like a cancer. I mean, like it really is bad.
So to give you an example, I was getting ready to leave for
Well.
Yeah, well, we do, yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes the truth can be gossip if it doesn't need to be told.
That's right, that's exactly right.
But what I'm saying is, he was just being funny. You wanna go gossip? I said, no, I wanna go visit. I try my best not to gossip.
So like if you're out gossiping, is that like mingling or like, well,
Well, to him, it might be. But I was sort of funny, because he said that and we're talking about it, but I said, yeah, there's a difference between visiting and gossiping.
difference between visiting and gossiping?
This something that I think about a lot with working with so many different people is, you can think that whoever you're talking to is a true friend, and you can think that they do have your best interests at heart, and then you can find out very, very quickly that they don't.
And you can tell somebody and say, don't repeat this, and you don't know that they won't.
And it's very, very hurtful, And, and then over time, this is where I find myself, like I become kind of shut off or bitter about it, because it's like, I come to them off the mindset, like, yeah, I still love this person and I still care about them, but I know how they are. And I know anything that comes out of my mouth is going to be twisted and told 20 other times, and so you become shut off, like you can never become close to that person or have that friendship that you could have because you've been hurt.
I also think it affects your other relationships too, though, because like if you're friends with this person and you open yourself up to that and they burn you, how likely are you to offer yourself up to somebody else, and share it? So, and that makes me think of Andy Griffith. There's an episode where they're giving Aunt Bee and her women friends a hard time because all they do is gossip. Barney went in and had a scratch on his hand from his revolver, and within an hour they got a call from the sheriff's office that Barney had shot himself in the chest and was dead. And so Aunt Bee, that they're giving all this grief, and they make a point in the show that they set this thing up. And anyway, all the men start gossiping and telling lies before it's all said and done until they get caught up in it. And it's just going to show that no one, like it's not just one type of person that does this. Anybody can do it, which is why we have to be on guard.
Yeah, anybody can do it. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in, I don't know what you'd call it, sin, I guess. I mean, it's just like I tell my boys, you lie with dogs, more likely you're gonna get fleas. I mean, it's
That's a
when,
very good point.
I mean, when you hang out with bad people all the time, eventually you're gonna think, well, they do it, they get by with it, maybe I can do a little bit here that it ain't as bad, and tr-
Was it smaller than, sorry, I didn't interrupt, but Beth was talking, Beth Davis, she deals with a lot of people who suffer from addiction. And she was saying after they go through all of their treatment and all the rehab, she was like, we just put them right back with their same environment and their same friends. And she was like, even though they have the tools, we have to talk things, but you put them back with their friends, all of that stuff they've learned just goes away. And so, they fall back into the same pattern. And that's why it's such an issue in this area, is we don't have anything else to do. So they go back and hang with their friends.
that's true.
It's sad. It's harming people.
Truthfully, gossip, if you got a problem with someone, you should really go directly to them and speak to them about it. I mean, you shouldn't be going over here and me telling Bart, hey, I just don't like the way Ben cuts his hair, I mean, well, he's mine too. We got the same haircut.
I dropped kicking to the goalpost of the light.
But
You take care of it, wouldn't you?
But I mean, instead of gossiping, like I said, we should go directly to them and voice our concerns and, try to make amends versus just telling everybody else about it. I mean, it's nobody else's business.
Well, that's what I suggested to this man. I said, what did you think was the good in you telling something that you thought was the case and it not be the truth? What gave you even the right to say my name?
Right.
I really went with that.
Well, the Bible actually tells us a lot about choosing friends. I mean, there's a lot of good knowledge, especially out of Proverbs. Proverbs 22, 24 through 27. I'm going to read that one.
You know, they gossiped a lot about Jesus, though, didn't they?
Now that they did.
Those Pharisees, they thought they knew everything.
Starting in verse 24, it says, "Do not make friends." So right here, that's I mean, it's a pretty good example of what a friend shouldn't be. So, do not make friends with a hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn their ways and get yourself ensnared. Do not be one who shakes hands in pledge or puts up security for debts if you lack the means to pay. Your very bed will be snatched from underneath you.
Wow, that's a pretty wow.
It is. Why would you think it's important not to be friends with someone that's hot-tempered or someone that's easily angered? I mean,
It might cause a fight and you get caught right in the middle of it with them.
you could be.
Like my grandmother said, birds of a feather flock together, so you're gonna be branded with being that same type person. That's who you're gonna hang out with.
If you're hanging out with them, I mean, eventually you could become hot-tempered like they are, short-fused.
Even if you're not, you can still be seen as that.
I mean, I am a redhead. I kind of have that natural tendency. But I don't know. I think I control my temper pretty good, don't I? Yeah. Maybe. But
I think it's hard enough, like, when you're surrounded with people and things like, I mean, I feel like I do, friend groups, but it's hard enough to do what the Bible tells you to do, even when you're in good company. And like, trying to get away from the worldly things, let alone when somebody's putting all of that in your face, all the negative, bad choices.
If you're with somebody or a friendship with somebody that's hot-tempered or something, I mean, are there certain people that you love them, but you feel like you've got to walk on eggshells every time you're with them? You got to be careful what you say, because they take everything the wrong way.
they do. It's tough to be around, and like you're walking on eggshells. I mean, what if this person don't believe in Christ, and every time that you try to, bring Christ into their life, they get mad about it or whatever, you're just gonna give up. You're gonna quit. You're gonna give up on everybody because you're afraid that everyone's gonna react to you that way, and that ain't what God wants us to do. I mean, we're supposed to disciple everyone. But if you turn back to Proverbs chapter 12, 26 through 27, it tells us that the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. And it's hard to choose friends, and hard to choose family. Well, you can't choose family, but I mean, it's who you hang out with and who everybody associates you with. It's tough. And there again, it's stating that, if you're hanging out with the wicked, it's going to lead you to wickedness. And it's just, if you sit in a car with someone with the coronavirus, more than likely you're going to end up with it too. It's like a bad disease. It's just contagious. And there ain't no medicine for it unless you separate yourself from it. Wait a minute. Not all men are heathen on a strip job.
But there was times I was tempted to chime in on a conversation I shouldn't chime in on. So it is kind of easy to fall into that situation.
It is.
And sometimes you can be right at the verge of getting in it, and then something will be said that you think, man, I'm glad I didn't get in that conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to
course, men don't like to be outdone, so one person tells a joke, next one tells a worse but better joke, and
That's exactly, and in reverse, just like that passage, like a righteous man guides his neighbor, like a wicked man leads him astray. So it's like if you're hanging around people who are wicked, they're gonna lead you astray. So just like you said, they're gonna tell a joke and it's immediately gonna bring something to your mind, and you're like, well, I'll top that.
mine's worse than yours.
The same way, flip it. If you're around righteous people and you're struggling or you're angry or whatever, and you're saying what you're feeling, a righteous friend is going to correct you and be like, "Here's how you need to pray for this person. Here's how we need to go from this point. Like I hear you, but let's go this way." And so it's like you're literally going opposite directions. The wicked's going to lead you this way. The righteous is going to lead you that way. And that's why it's so important to have righteous friends.
One of my customers that I do work for, I used to go there every day for 4 years, and their mechanic on the job, man, talk about foul mouth. I mean, he would make a sailor blush. Well, after I was there for a little while, every now and again he'd let a cuss word come out of his mouth, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Sammy, I'm sorry," Now he's a member of a church in somewhere in Stanford, I believe is the name of the town he lives in. He's quit cussing, and he's tried to, live a better life and the way God wants him to live. And the only thing I can think, is, I played a big influence on him because, at first he wouldn't even talk about church or talk about God. And every time I come around now, it's like, hey, my pastor, he preached on this last Sunday, and he knew who I was and where I come from, and I do feel like I had a big part in that. And now there's some others there that need some work, but
That's what I was thinking about, Sammy, is what if you, in that discernment that we try to, know what God's telling us to do, if you feel like you're put in the place to witness to someone, but that person just is not going to receive it.
well,
I mean, are you put in the place then by God, or are you being used by Satan to make you feel worse about yourself?
Well.
See, that's a hard one, isn't it?
I think if you're sharing God's word, you're always doing God's word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you a statistic. It's something like most people will not come to put their faith in Christ until they've been witnessed to like 7 or 8 times on average. So you may be the third time that they just dismiss and push away, but that seed is continually being planted. So it may feel like a failure. That's what Satan will try to use it, but God is most certainly like you're doing His work. That. So I would say in that case, anytime it puts you in front of somebody, be it an opportunity to share the gospel, regardless of the outcome, that you're doing His work, and Satan will try to twist it. But like you just need to realize, God, we plant, we water, but God makes it grow. So.
Yeah, I don't think giving someone the gospel is anything from Satan. I mean,
Well, no, but
actually, on the contrary, he's trying to get you not to do it. I mean, just because you tell someone the gospel and they get upset about it, I still think, that had to be God's effort through you in order to reach this person.
well, when Ben Sunday, you were talking about atheist and you were agnostic, and I never was really clear on that.
So atheist just believes there's no God, and agnostic says, I don't know, there's not enough evidence.
Well,
Undecided.
the person that I'm talking about is definitely wearing the agnostic label.
So what is a true friend? I bet it's not as plentiful as most people think.
I think it's someone who's truthful to you, someone who will risk maybe that they're going to tell you something for your own good that you weren't really seeing about yourself.
Well, I mean, that's possible. I mean, there's a lot of different things in a definition of a true friend. I mean, a lot of good things about a person, you know, makes a friend. And 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just in fact as you are doing. A friend is supposed to build each other up. We're supposed to encourage each other. We're not supposed to be, well, I can do better than them, or, you know, pat myself on the back. I don't think that's what Jesus intended a friend to truly be. You know, a lot of times we're our very worst critics. And, you know, our friends should have the ability to influence us, hold us accountable. I mean, how true of a friend would they be if you was doing something wrong and they just allowed you to continue to do it? You know, a friend should be someone that we can confide in, someone that we don't have to worry about gossiping, you know, behind our back. I would say there is degrees of friendship. I mean, obviously, you know, some people are going to be closer than others. There's probably some things that I would tell some people in this room that I wouldn't tell other people, you know, about my personal life. I mean, I'm just trying to be real with y'all. I guarantee everyone here has different levels of friendships with people. And
You can't let everybody be at the same level with you, intimately as a friend, because you can't have everybody knowing every bit of your business. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to have anybody hold you accountable, because it would just be everybody would feel like they would have a say in what you're doing and what you're saying. And sometimes you need those people who are closest to you to vent, to work through things that are going on in your life that you don't want necessarily anybody else to know about, especially in our cancel culture today. You can just be saying something to somebody just to get it off your mind and just to talk it out. And if you said it to the wrong person, who's going to run with it? They're going to use it to take you down. And it might even be something you mean. You're just trying to work yourself through it. So you could definitely have levels of friendship. People that you're close to, people who are like brothers and sisters. People that you spend everyday life with, or people you see every so many days. So yeah, I think you have to in order for you to be healthy.
yep. So, in Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14, gives a very good description of what a friend should be. Now, whether you choose this as God's description or not, but this is a pretty good description of what a real friend should be. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you have a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Now, if everyone treated everyone like this world would probably have zero problems. And me personally, I like some of these descriptions, and which I've been working on. I would have to say that I'm pretty patient, but it's hard for me to have compassion. I don't know why that is. I always felt like, if that's my row that I seeded, I get to bear the fruit from it. But I don't know, it's tough. But I think that's where friends are supposed to help us. Like, Carrie has made me more patient or more compassionate than what I've been in the beginning of our stages of life.
We have progressed a long way. Sometimes now.
old habits are hard to die. But, you know, between just being kind to everyone, you know. It's easy to be kind to someone. It takes more effort to be mean to someone than it does to be kind to them. It really does. And, I mean, I don't know why, it's just human nature that somewhere down the road we just lose the thought of kindness, and they've made us mad. Maybe they gossiped about us, you know.
You know, it is what it is.
I mean, there's all kinds of reasons, and but we have to be stronger and better than them.
Well, you know, I think that what is up there right now on the screen is one of the prettiest and most, I don't know the word I want to use, but it's just such a great verse there. Bind them together with love.
Yeah, you know, if you truly love someone like God tells us, like God has loved Jesus, and as Jesus has loved us, all this stuff should come natural.
And even to the little situation that I was a part of, I felt very sorry for the individual that did do the damage, because he just didn't seem to know any better. And that made me sad that he just didn't know better.
Right. You know, in Romans it reads that we should be devoted to each other in love. And, you know, it's not talking about marriage, it's talking about our relationships, you know, and especially the people that we go to church with. You know, there shouldn't be anyone in this church that should not be loved. And I know everybody's got their own ticks and whatever, you know, but we should, other than inside this building, we should have relationship with other people that we say are members of this church. And there should be some sort of level of friendship, if we're going to say there's different levels, with everyone that we go to church with. We should know them by name. We should have a general idea of where they live. I mean, there's a lot that we don't know about the people that we go to church with, because the social interaction, the way that this world has become, Facebook and just like when COVID hit, you know, we shut the church doors and we was doing online, you know, church, online Bible study. I don't think that's the way God intended this world to work, by ourselves, you know, virtual.
Some of those churches still haven't come together.
And you're right. I mean, when they closed the doors, and even after they reopened them up, a lot of people didn't come back to church. And
No, to be devoted to each other, it means you have to be intentional. You have to be committed. Like, you're devoted to your spouse, like you're committed to your spouse, like you show up at home, like you talk to one another, like you ask them how they're doing, you check on them, if they're sick, you take care of them, and vice versa. The problem within the church today, I mean, church at large, is that we're consumers, so we come in to get instead of to give. And so if you're going to be friends and have connections with your church, you have to be intentional about that. You have to go and actually do it. You know, and I've had people come to me before and say, well, you know, we didn't come back because basically they essentially said not enough people talk to us. And I'm like, who'd you talk to? You know, like, I mean, you put the blame on everybody else, but if you're a believer, like, you have that same responsibility. So it's like, I don't buy that, you know, because I know that our church is friendly. Like, I know that for a fact. And so at the end of the day, if someone's like, we just didn't have enough people to talk to them, then to me it's, well, you weren't here for this, you were here for you. You know, you were here to get what you could get. And so if we want to be friends, we want to be connected in here, we have to be intentional about it. You have to, if you sit up front, you need to turn around and look and see who's here on Sunday mornings. I don't care if it's as awkward as you standing up in the middle of service, looking around, you know, like, but you need to make a point to get to know people, or step out early so that you can see people as they're leaving, so you can greet them. You know, it's like, we have to make those efforts, but typically we don't, you know.
you know, a lot of people don't, you know, and, you know, Sunday mornings, he's got a full plate every Sunday morning. And, you know, a lot of us in leadership, we've always got something going on, whether it's, you know, picking kids up from Carl D or or making sure that the lights are burning in the bathroom, you know, but it ain't all up to leadership neither. You know, there's a lot of people sitting in these pews, like he's saying, you know, they think they should just take in what Ben's putting out, but give nothing back. And I mean, you get out of a relationship, a friendship, what you put in it. And if you're not putting any effort, you know, you ain't gonna get nothing back. Not what you want. Definitely not what you want. In Galatians 6:2, it says that we should carry each other's burdens. By doing so, you will fulfill the law of Christ. And, you know, I guess that's where compassion comes in. You know, I read that right there, and it kind of made me hurt a little bit. But if a brother or sister or your friend is struggling and in some need, I mean, you should have some sort of feeling, you know, sadness or something, you know, the desire to go to help them and whatever that burden is, instead of saying, well, hate that for you, you know. That would have been the old Sammy, but I mean, in Proverbs, it kind of reiterates that from Galatians, Proverbs 18:24 through 25. I mean, we're really supposed to care for each other. We're hurting, and you know, if our home catches fire, you know, we're supposed to have sadness for that, and you know.
I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of a hat right here. This one has taught me that when he was in the ring wrestling, it was very vivid, very entertaining for people to see that type of venue. But when they went back to the dressing room, they were friends. They got along so good.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was part of their lifestyle.
Amen.
one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruins. And, you know, we kind of talked about that earlier. You know, if you got a car that's unreliable, eventually you're going to lose your job because you ain't going to be able to make it back and forth to work, or you know, you're hanging out with bad people. You know, eventually you're going to get hurt, or no one else is going to want to hang out with you. And but a friend who sticks closer than a brother, I mean, that's Jesus. Jesus is through and through the best friend that anyone could ever have.
Amen.
It don't matter what you do, he forgives you. It don't matter who you gossip about, he still loves you. And his love, which is very undeniable, I mean, he died on the cross for us. He had the love for while he was on the cross. You know, he told the Lord, he said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's hard to love someone like that. He knows that they put him on that cross for every reason but the right one. But he was still asking God to forgive him. And like that right there is true friendship. And I don't think there's anywhere anyone's going to find someone that has the care and the love and the humility that Jesus just possesses. And his compassion towards just the human race. And the best part is salvation that he offers each and every one of us.
Amen.
It's free. It don't matter what you do. It's offered to you. Now, whether you choose to accept it or, I mean, I don't know what more a person could ask for. This world is not going to last forever. But being in heaven with God for eternity. The friendship that He has with you, that right there is forever.
You know, Sammy, we need to be a good friend too. You know, we need to find a good friends for ourselves. We need to be the best friends we can possibly be.
We do, absolutely. You know,
Kind of about that, Tom, I had a situation a few months back that someone told me that someone had said something or done something. And I was like, that's not possible. Like, this person was my friend, I know their character, I know their heart, and I know that that's not possible for that person to have done that in that way. And so, like, I immediately beat and spoke for this person and was explaining, like, you must have been mistaken. Like, that was not the case. And I think that, you know, Jesus is that friend for us, like, He is always going to be there to defend us and have our back. But then on the flip side, I was also thinking, I know a lot of my friends so deeply, I know their character, and I know personal things about them and all those things. And then I question, like, do I have that friendship with Jesus myself? Like, do I know Him on that same level that I know the people that I have face-to-face interactions with every day?
because, you know, even though we win about what's a bad friend or what makes a good friend, you know, it's really looking at us. Are we the bad one or are we the good one? You know? Of course, you can be adolescent child like myself, so I probably fall in both categories. Ben says I'm immature.
Amen.
I think immature in a good way, though. Like childish. Has anybody got any questions, comments, snide remarks? That's all I got tonight.
That was great.
Huh?
I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Good job, Sam, yeah.
Don?
I just want to tell you, end of the school year, Abby has really struggled with friend groups and some friends, there's a lot of issues. And so she had to switch friend groups at the end of the school year because a lot of issues, and she stood up to him one day, she was like, I don't believe in this. Because in fourth grade, two girls said that they were together. And Abby's like, no, I don't want to have any part of this. And she switched friend groups. And I'm sitting here making notes, and so that I can go back and show her all of this. So it's going on past tonight to be able to help Abby.
You know, I mean, it's even important. And you're talking about, you know, your kids. You know, there's some kids out there. I know me and Carrie, we've told our boys, you know, hey, you shouldn't be hanging out with them. You know, and you know, it's our job to, you know, hold each and every one of ourselves accountable. And you know, if I see that my kids are hanging out in a bad crowd, you know, I want it corrected. And if I'm hanging out in a bad crowd or whatever, I'd hope somebody would tell me, you know, because sometimes we can't see the forest because of the trees. And so,
You know, that's the beauty of having friends, though, especially when your kids are the same age. Like, I know that if Sammy sees Carter doing something or hanging around somebody he shouldn't be hanging around, Sammy's gonna say something to him about it. He's gonna treat him just like he would Corbin. And seriously, I know that that's not just me talking. Like, I know that's how it is. He would expect no difference from me.
absolutely.
With his boys, you know, and when I see the kids in our church, especially the ones that I've been like, I see my kids, like I see my own kids when they come up to me and talk to me. Like Maddox walks up to me every time he sees me, just kind of like, hey, you know, just like he wants a hug or you know, pat on the head or whatever. But it's like we should look at each other like family like that, and so we should be holding ourselves and holding our kids accountable. That hey, who you're around matters. Who you hang around matters, and making sure that group stays together, you know, because it's so vital, so vital.
Well, I mean, if you're in a bigger group of like-minded people, I mean, you're going to be able to do more things for God. And It's, you know, it's like building his army, you know. But, well, guys, thank you. That's all I've got. Don, would you close us in a word of prayer?